What is good, everybody? DJ TMac here for another great hip-hop conversation. Another producer conversation coming your way. Very producer-heavy year this year, and I'm very happy for it. We out here in Colorado right now with my man Gloomy Sxnday. What's good, homie?
Yo. Happy to be here, man. It's been a long time in the making.
Absolutely.
I'm glad we could finally make it happen, man. Honored to be here.
Long time in the making because when I spoke with O Finess, I don't know if it was our first or second interview, but I was still out in Massachusetts, and he actually mentioned you.
Oh, yeah?
So when I was going back and, cutting up clips and stuff like that, I actually heard him say Gloomy Sxnday. And at the time, I didn't, it was just another producer name. But now to be out here, you're working with a lot of the artists that I interviewed already, tracks with O Finess, and man, you're doing your thing out here. So I'm very happy to have you on the program.
I appreciate that. Yeah, shout out to Finess. That's the homie.
How'd you get connected with Finess? Let's just start right there.
Yeah, so I think that, to be honest, that was just the social media thing, to be honest. Like, he was working with Tony T, who was out here rapping, making beats and stuff like that, but was engineering for O Finess and Musalini. So I was cool with Tony T, so I was just following him. Saw Finess, ended up following him, followed me right back, and then I posted a beat on my story, and he ended up was like, yo, what are you doing with that? That ended up being one of the only tracks that we ever did together, called Milk Crates, featuring Cold Frazier. But yeah, it was funny. Our first interaction we ever had through like Instagram ended up being a full track that we ended up releasing. So
the universe speaks, right? In mysterious ways, makes those good connections.
Yeah, 100%.
But are you on No Squares in My Circle also?
So I have one
think I saw a
placement
credit on there, right?
Yeah, it's called Cross Country. And then right after that record dropped, that one ended up being picked up by Insomniac magazine. Out of the whole track list, that was the only one that got featured, and I was kind of surprised because that whole album is crazy. Like, I love that stuff. So like, there was a joint with Planet Asia on there, and I was like, damn, that one did get picked up. Mine did. So it was an honor, honestly. But yeah, it was crazy. I woke up the morning that happened, I was like, whoa. Because that album, like I said, is real good. So I was
that's a staple in both of their catalogs at this point.
100%.
They've done a lot of work since then with Ninth Wonder and
I know,
Crisis.
He's on my top 5. So the fact that I've produced for it was only one track given, but I have a song with someone that has
the credit
albums with one of my favorite producers of all time. It was kind of crazy to see that.
Super dope, man. Super dope. So let's talk about your production style a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd say it's a dope, classic sort of hip hop production style with some modern elements, of course. Very clean. Super clean sample style. I hear hints of Primo and Dre. Okay. Primo, sample, chop, drums. Dre, similar, but really with Dre, I always think about cleanliness.
Okay.
The beat is clean. You hear everything. It's where it's supposed to be. Nothing's out of order. Like, we have Dilla up here and Pete Rock a little bit more open, not quantizing, but like, Dre, he keeps it in that pocket and keeps it clean. And you have a similar style. How would you describe your style?
Well, that's funny. You actually kind of nailed it on the head in terms of when people ask me that question, what I say is I make modern day boom bap or hip hop or boom bap for the modern day, because I like to take some of those elements, like you mentioned, the Pete Rocks, the Dillas, the Premiers, but just kind of modernize it a little bit, use drums that maybe smack a little bit harder rather than just kind of the sampled stuff. But I definitely like to incorporate both of those elements. And man, I appreciate the Dre comparison. I've actually never gotten that before. Okay. And that's not something that I necessarily intentionally do, but I've obviously, studied his work and try to take little bits and pieces from all my favorite producers, but that's one that I've never gotten before. That kind of has me cheesing a little bit.
That's awesome. Bro.
Yeah,
the cleanliness of it and the organization of it. It's, man, you could just sit and ride with it. Ride with the albums that you have with artists, ride with the instrumental projects. He's got a little bit of everything. So check out the catalog. Make sure you follow. We got links all down below. But you got a decent amount of work out, but nothing really too recent, right? Was the last one released?
The last one was with Graybeard.
Okay,
we did Gloomy and Gray 2. and that was in February.
Me and Gloomy making classics.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that's one we did. Gloomy and Gray 1 way back in like 2019, I want to say. Yeah, it was pre-pandemic, and so just things got messed up for a couple years there, but we had to lock back in. But yeah, that's the most recent. But thankfully, not giving any dates or anything. But even in fact, by the time this interview comes out, it might already be out. But Rose on Sundays coming very soon. We got the last piece of the puzzle, a feature from my homie Naeem, and he just sent that a couple days ago. So that was the last little piece we needed. We just got to hit the studio one more time, get it mixed, mastered, all that good stuff, and then that'll be out real soon. But yeah, man, it's one of those things where I have my best music still in the tuck, which is kind of like it's a little bit frustrating to me. Sometimes I'll just go through, like when I'm doing beat sets and stuff like that, I'll pull from like some of my older work and stuff, and I'm like, damn, I've never used that. No one's rapped on this yet. And it's stuff that, I want out, but it's a timing thing as well. And, I don't want to just oversaturate right away. I don't want to, because I have enough material for at least a couple beat tapes, few projects with a few other cats, and still, have a little bit left. But it's like, I don't want to just rush everything, and I'm kind of just trying to pace it out as well. So I definitely, it's one of those things where I have a lot of stuff, but I'm trying to be patient and not get too eager and just, pull the trigger on everything right away. And plus, I like to fully flesh out stuff and make sure it's top quality before it gets released. So yeah, not too much out yet, but lots to come for sure.
Yeah, lots to come, and we're looking forward to that, man. Rose on Sundays, I heard a few tracks off of that. Played a track at UMS with him. Some fire, man. The people like it, and we're waiting for it. So we're looking forward to that one. And when it is released, the link will be below also. So make sure you guys go listen to that. Rose on Sunday. Speaking of rose, speaking of a little alcohol, a little shit, my man brought the bottle through, all right?
Hey, man, if you know me, I come through with the cooks on special occasions.
Let's go. We cooking in here today, boys.
Yes,
all right. But hey, let's
cheers.
Little salute, little cheers. Thank you, Gloomy.
Man, thanks again for having me.
Absolutely, man. Like we said, a long time in the making, and hey, I've been speaking to a lot of producers this year, and it's cool, man. I like getting the other perspective too, because the artist side is one side, but a lot of them say, the beat inspires me. So you guys are really the first part of the process almost that kicks off the artistry and gets it going. So yeah, we got to get your perspective as well, man.
Yeah. So I'll give a little bit of backstory. So I kind of, not to get too far back, but I grew up around like lots of jazz and blues. My pops is a guitar player, played a few other instruments and stuff like that. But I learned the guitar playing like jazz and blues, staples. And eventually I got into hip hop. And I feel like it's kind of a cliche, but the white kid getting into hip hop around high school, I started rapping. And, I kind of took it to a place where, I was doing well. I was doing shows that had good turnouts and stuff like that. But it just kind of hit a ceiling for me, and it just wasn't really the personality-wise what I wanted to be doing. There's a lot of stuff, even at a low level, like that you have to kind of do. And I just wasn't feeling it, so I started working on beats. So I kind of have that perspective of the writer and the producer, and I like producing a lot more than I do, because like you said, you can play the background and you can really kind of orchestrate things, and you don't necessarily have to be in the forefront all the time. But like I said, I kind of do it in a way where I try to make stuff that inspires me, even though I definitely don't write to all my stuff or anything like that. But, as I'm sitting there,
he said he doesn't write to all of it. All right.
That's
you peep that?
That's a hint.
You all peep that?
That's a hint. But, I'll sit there, and as I'm making a beat, I'll try to just freestyle some bullshit or whatever. Just try to catch a little flow with tempo. And, and I try to just not limit myself and make stuff not in the same vein all the time, so you can kind of cater to different artists and stuff like that. So the pack that I send for like TMC isn't going to be the same pack that I send for JMatt or something like that. You know what I mean? So shout out to both of them. But yeah, so I try to kind of cater to specific individuals and stuff like that, based on what I hear and, you know, kind of what I hear from the perspective of writing, and as well as that artist and what I feel they shine and they sound good over. So
dope, man. So you said you started writing. Who were some of those MCs or artists that made you want to start picking up the pen and dabble with that?
So yeah, just honestly the cliches, you know, because they're the easiest to kind of get into. But yeah, Nas was definitely one of the first, and I started writing at around the same time he did. So that was always like a big thing for me. Like, damn, like I probably started when I was like around 15, like early high school, and he dropped Illmatic at 17, and the demos came out when he was 16. So that, like, I knew that from a younger age. And then in kind of the same vein, Queensbridge, Mobb Deep, and they were 19 when they dropped the classic album, The Infamous. So it's like, you know, like I said, it's kind of the cliches, but they're that for a reason. You know what I mean? So definitely like more the East Coast stuff, kind of more lyrical, bar heavy punchlines, you know, flowing like in that tight pocket and stuff like that. But yeah, those are definitely some of the earliest influences.
And as far as production, we spoke about it a little bit, but who are some of those other producers that you really like to study and get into?
Yeah, dude. So I try to do my best to just kind of study as much stuff as I can. You already mentioned a couple of them, like definitely two of my biggest inspirations, Primo and Pete Rock, Dilla, like, and then Ninth Wonder. You definitely hear a lot of that in my style. And then one that doesn't get talked about a whole lot, but is probably my favorite producer, honestly, is Apollo Brown out of Detroit. And he was probably, I mean, like I was a huge fan of like production, just from, like I said, the writing side. Like I would hear a beat and it would just inspire me, but then kind of piecing things together. And once I kind of found Apollo Brown, I was like, damn, all right, I want to do this. Like and then, you know, obviously it's collectively all of those producers, but yeah, man. And so it was just eventually I was like, all right, I gotta learn how to do this. And it started out just like I wanted to make beats for myself to rhyme over. And then I just fell in love with producing, and I just kind of fell out of love with the rapping side, as I kind of alluded to earlier. But yeah, that's how it got started. But yeah, dude, they just like the goats, man. The goats. Yeah. Also Alchemist, got to throw his name in there too.
Salute to Alk. Still killing the game, like doing so much, working with independent artists, the biggest artists, mainstream artists. Like it's kind of wild.
The new Travis Scott. Crazy.
What are we talking about?
But here? he's making a contention for himself to be in that top 5 conversation. Like
for sure.
Crazy.
For sure. The longevity, the quality. You know, that's somebody else. Just the quality, the cleanliness of the beats, the sample style. Yeah, I hear it. I like it, man.
Yep.
That's dope. Let's talk about sort of how you got involved in the hip hop scene. You told us, you know, a backstory. You know, you were doing shows and stuff like that. But Denver has a pretty interesting hip hop scene and culture in general.
Oh, yeah.
So talk about sort of starting to get involved in it and how you've evolved with it maybe in the past few years, because you know you said been writing probably you started writing and doing music over 10 years ago, probably
about 10 years, which is crazy.
So that's pretty crazy to think about. A lot of hours in the game. So talk about from your perspective how you sort of got involved, started getting into the Denver hip hop community, and what it is now. Beats Bodega, the beat you know, events, like talk about everything. It's a lot going on.
So I was, like I said, I was kind of writing back in the day. I started making beats, and then once I got to a certain level where I felt like my beats were a little bit of a higher standard, I was like, all right, I need a rebrand. I would change my name. Not going to go into what it used to be or anything, but I just ended up landing on Gloomy Sxnday and started releasing production under that name about like mid 2018, and then I just kind of caught word eventually of some hip hop shows. I found this cat who I'm working with right now. His name is Greasy Jenkins. Just got out the joint not too long ago, so glad he's out. But I was just scrolling through Instagram, and I saw he did like a sponsored post of one of his songs. And like I said, I had some beats already ready, and I was just kind of in my basement. And then I heard him, and I was like, whoa, cats like this are rhyming in Colorado? Like, I was like, oh, shit. So I followed him. Ended up, he was doing a show. It was around the same time there was this event called the Grand Doozy, and Kendrick Lamar was in town. He was like headlining, and they made the stage on part of a golf course that was like right down the street from my house. And Kendrick, he's my go-to. People ask me, who's your favorite rapper? He's like my go-to just because it's easy, you know what I'm saying? But I fucking love him. So I really wanted to go, but I was a very broke student at the time. Didn't have 200 bones to throw with that ticket. So there was like this event. Part of the promotion was like, yo, you can't go to the Kendrick show? We're doing a local hip-hop event at it was a spot called Alternation Brewing, which played a major part in all this. And so I showed up, and that's where I met, in one night, I met Greasy, I met TMC, Tony T, Graybeard, Just MC, this cat Chef Soul, who used to be big producer out here. And I met like the whole 80 Spades and Flows were there. I met like the whole scene in one fucking night. Like, so, and that was in like probably September of 2018. And then just kind of, got all their math, got all their information. And then by like early 2019, we started throwing these shows at Zio's Bar and Pizzeria. And I showed up to one of the first ones they ever did. I'm pretty sure it was just Graybeard and Graybeard and Just MC were like the only two people. There was like two people in the crowd, including me. You know what I mean? But I showed up because I was like, I wanted to get involved. And then by like one or two more, because I think it was like a weekly event. It could have been bi-weekly, but by the next one, like I was on stage playing my beats. And then as more people kind of got in tune to that, more people started showing up, kind of made a little bit of a name for myself. People got a little bit more familiar with my work. And then we moved to Alternation Brewing. There was still stuff going on there, but that became like one of the hubs for like beats and stuff like that, just beat ciphers. And so we did that all of 2019, and we really started getting a buzz. And then, of course, COVID happened and shut everything down, and that kind of put a damper on everything for a while. And it was like right when we really started getting this momentum, kind of shut down. And then eventually, as things started opening back up, started catching wind of like people are throwing beach shows again. So I was like, dude, I got to get myself on
Where
these.
that though?
So yeah, exactly. So it kind of picked back up around like last summer. It was the first time I ever played at River, and then shortly after I was on Mutiny doing the Freight Heavy freestyle, and then it's just growing from there. And it's just the amount of producers and the amount of talent and the level of the talent too has just increased so much from when we first started throwing those events that it's just unbelievable in a sense. You know what I mean? Just the community that we've built over the years. And yeah, I'm just honored to be a part of it, Like I said, I started as just kind of a fly in the wall, and I thought that was cool in and of itself, but to actually be a part of it and kind of growing the community, it means the world to me, and I love my guys that are holding it down. So, sorry, that was a long-winded answer, but there was a lot that kind of went into all that, you know what I mean?
It was a perfect answer, and I have a lot of similar experiences. Obviously, I didn't grow up out here, but last year I started going out and finding, the hip hop spots. I'm like, all right, where are they at? Like, because you just Google like some hip hop stuff and it's just some bullshit in Denver always, like nothing that you want to actually go to. But once I found River and, Mutiny and all these other places, I was like, wow, there's a lot happening, high talent level. And at the Terminology show, when he came out a little over a year or so ago, I feel like I met everybody in the community. Yeah. TMC, Rose, also Arrows on the lineup, like a whole bunch of more people too.
Well,
So he was there. I mean, that was a fun one to be at. Really dope, and that's what really was my first exposure to the community.
Nice.
So seeing
Hell
that
yeah.
show. So that was really dope to be at. And it's cool. It's dope to be involved in it. Like you said, cool to just be there and watch it. But now, you know, I get to DJ at Beats Bodega. Maybe a Mutiny Cypher coming soon. But man, there's a lot of cool stuff happening out here. Denver hip hop is on the rise, so you guys need to support local artists, producers, and that's all I do here. So just watch all these videos, the past videos, and get connected, get to know.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna, give you your flowers right now, man, because this is, like you said, just like I kind of said, like it's cool to be a fly on the wall, but you only mentioned the fact that you're like DJing events now. Nah, man, like you're really putting on for all of us. Like getting us out there, and your platform is building all the time. I see the numbers going up, man. So yeah, like I said, I just wanted to stop you right there, just give you your flowers, and just don't minimize all that you've done, and just continue to do, because this is an awesome platform that you're building, man. And I speak for everyone in the community. We're just grateful to have someone like you to just kind of shine light, especially with the producer community, like rappers,
They get all the shine.
Yeah, exactly. They don't miss an opportunity to just kind of put themselves on and stuff like that. But a lot of the producers that are some of the dopest cats out here are pretty introspective, like to just kind of chill in our workspace.
You don't get to hear them all the time.
Exactly.
You get to hear their music.
Yeah,
and
we
the
just
output,
pop up and play a beat set, but you don't get to see and hear like all the work that it takes to like get to that point. Yeah. And so yeah, man, I think it's really dope what you're doing, and you're an absolutely great addition to the community and much needed, man. So I appreciate you.
Hey,
much
I appreciate
love, man.
you. Let's cheers on that,
yes, sir.
homie. Let's go. Cheers at home too. So let's talk about some of this work that gets put in before you get out to the beat events, right? What's your process like? And talk about how it has evolved over time.
Yeah, so I think back in the day, it used to the beats got done a lot quicker than they do now, which kind of seems a little bit counterintuitive, because you think, oh, like the better you are at something, the quicker it's gonna be. But it's just like, I think it comes from just a level of attention to detail that I try to put in every single beat. Like I will sit there and listen to just loops for hours, man. It's just like something just doesn't seem right, and I'll try 1,000 different ways to just kind of solve this one little thing that I hear. So definitely used to be a lot more minimal and kind of stripped back. And I kind of, with my style, I like to kind of make it sound simple. But if you really listen to it, you can kind of like dissect the complexity of what I'm doing.
Complex, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And just like, I'll take records and chop like one little pad from the intro, one little thing from the outro. I try to find like a little loop or whatever, and then just find other parts of the songs that kind of have that same melody structure. Yeah, and then just kind of incorporate it. So sometimes that can take a long time, man. It's just like playing like with 1,000 piece puzzle, where you just have all these little bits and pieces, and they just have to line up the right way. But yeah, man, I just I'm inspired, obviously, by samples.
How do you dig though?
So I dig digitally. I know that's not the most respected way, but I just don't currently have a record player. Had two, and they both broke, and so I definitely have sampled a more traditional way, where just recorded onto Logic or whatever straight from vinyl. But I'm working with what I got. I'm in a smaller space in my house right now. I don't really have the room for a record player on top of all my other equipment.
Come on over here, Gloomy.
Yeah, right?
We got some space for you.
Hell yeah. But yeah, dude, I have dozens and dozens, hundreds of records that, are just kind of sitting right now for the meantime. But yeah, so I'm digging digitally, and like I said earlier, I kind of try to find like different vibes. Obviously, people kind of know me a little bit more for like the soul, because I definitely that's kind of the bread and butter. You know what I mean? Is just chopping up old soul records. But yeah, man, I try to get a different variety, do some jazz, even some like psychedelic. Like they had crazy stuff going on in just like Eastern Europe in like the 1970s with like Russian psychedelic rock. It's just stuff like that where it's like if you just search hard enough, you'll find something crazy. And so I try to find like wide variety, and then it's just I don't kind of go into something, oh, I want to sample a soul record today, I want this kind of vibe. I just kind of dig, and then I know it as soon as I hear it. I'm like, yep, that's the one. So then I just go to work. I try to chop up as many pieces of the record as I can. Like I said, if there's just a little loop right there, it's a loop, and you loop it, throw some drums on it. But I try to incorporate different pieces of a record. So
that's dope, man. How does it feel when you're up at those like beat events? Like, you see somebody going before you or after you. You're like, what is that feeling like? Do you get instantly inspired by some guys? You're like, oh, man, I chopped that record before. Like, dig a little deeper. Like, what's it like being out at these events and being a producer? Because you got to have a little bit of a competitive side to it, too. Yeah. Everybody's very cool. It's a community aspect. Everybody can get involved. But at the same time, it's like, this is hip hop at the end of the day still. 100%. We're still got to come for your neck.
Absolutely. Thankfully, man, I'm in a community where I have genuine respect for the other producers and MCs, but, specifically highlighting the producers. You got Old Soul, Burroughs, Just MC, like, Face. Like, I could go on and on, but, like, these are cats that I genuinely have, like, mad respect for, and I listen to their shit. And, it's not whack. It's not something where I'm like, oh, yeah, whatever. I could have done the drum sequencing better. It's like, no, I listened to it and I'm like, man, that shit's hard. You know what I mean? Obviously, like, you mentioned specifically hearing someone flip the same sample. Yeah, I'll hear like a record. I'll be like, oh, man, come on. I did that better. But,
come on.
Yeah, exactly. But specifically for, the people in the community, I definitely am not listening for that, because I know some producers do that. They'll just sit in the back of the room with their arms crossed and just like, yeah, whatever. But nah, man, that's not, like I said, I still try to have that competitive edge, and I want to make the best shit. But when it comes to my guys, man, like, I'm out there showing support, and I love to hear their music, dude. It's it's really nothing more, nothing less than that. Like, I'll show out, I'm nodding my head, I'm like, damn, I'm really listening. So I want to hear their music, and it inspires me to be around these people that like I said, I have genuine respect for, and steel sharpens steel, man. So like, I'm listening, and I want to hear it, and it's just like, I want to hear it and be around the hard shit that makes me go, oh man, all right, I got to come back correct next time. You know what I mean? And they, they've said the same thing about me. So it's like, it's just a mutual respect between everyone, and I think that is kind of, we still show that competitive edge, but in a very healthy way, where it's like, there's no bad blood, there's no nothing. It's all just mutual respect for one another, and we're just trying to get the best out of each other. You know what I mean? So kind of competing with ourselves. Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. I like that, man. When you are playing beats, I've seen you mostly play it off your phone. So let's talk about the equipment you use to make the music, the DAW. Break it down, man. Let's nerd out a little bit.
Yeah, so it's gotten to be a little bit of an infamous thing when I show up and play shit off my phone. Even when I did the beat battle the other night, it's like, I've never seen no one play their shit off their phone before. I've gotten that comment dozens of times at this point. So that aspect, I'm playing it off of Koala. It's really no other reason than I want live effects. I don't have an SP404 like Burroughs does, like Face, like Just MC, like these cats that can just manipulate sounds with just a couple clicks of a button in real time, and it just adds such a deeper level to a set. You know what I mean? When you add the little drops and just emphasize certain parts about a beat.
It's a very DJ aspect to it, I would say. All these guys, I saw them doing that. I'm like, man, that's what I can do on like my my turntables or my controller. So it's cool to see that they're not just going up there and like playing a 3-minute loop.
Yeah.
The live aspect to it is still there.
Yeah. So when I was doing beat sets back in the day, like I said, ZOs, alternation and stuff like that, I'll go up there with my laptop and there's pictures. So it's documented. Like I used to come up there with my laptop. But so I'm on Logic to answer your question about the DAW. I do everything in Logic, and the older versions didn't really have like a live aspect to it where you could manipulate sounds live. Like sure, you could open up an EQ and drag the filter sweep and stuff like that, but it's not really the same.
Tough.
It's not as intuitive.
Yeah.
And so they do actually have something like that in the more recent version of Logic, but my computer is kind of messed up and it's stuck in the prehistoric ages, so I can't update Logic and get that. And plus, like I said, it's just not as intuitive. It's not as easy. So one day I was just like, got sick of just kind of going up there. And what I would do is I'd like pre-made my sets or whatever, and I would like program in live effects. Like I would do like a quick high pass filter, low pass, and then like chop it up really fine so it kind of creates that stutter effect. But it's too computerized. I mean, obviously because I'm doing it on a computer, but no, it just doesn't feel. It doesn't have that.
Like free form, freestyle aspect to it. You're planning out sort of.
Yeah,
like I'm gonna do this here and there. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're working with MCs and you want to emphasize certain parts of what they're doing as well, like their verse. And if they're really going off, like take it out, man. Let them shine for a second. Just do a high pass filter so it's just like you can still hear the beat, and then just like slowly build it up, and then it creates this moment that you can't really do. So it really just came out of that and just wanting to be able to do that. And one day I'm sure I will get like an SP 404 or something like that, because everyone in the community is like, bro, you gotta get one, you can make beats wherever. Like, yeah, that's obviously very appealing, but one day it'll happen. But for the time being,
what you're doing right now is working.
Koala gives me the opportunity to do that. So it definitely looks goofy, and I'm aware of that. But hey, man, if it ain't broke, don't break it type of shit,
Everybody looks a little goofy up there doing their thing, no matter what you're holding or working on.
That's fair,
everybody's doing their thing. So respect to everybody, respect to all the producers. And man, I like the breakdown.
Well, thank you.
So you said when you're producing now, it's mostly at home, right?
Yeah.
But I know especially for this Rosé project, you guys were going to the lab studios to do the recording, mixing, mastering, stuff like that. Talk about that process instead of it just being like you recording your buddy or, instead of it just being like that home studio feel.
Yeah.
Bringing it to the big studio. What's the difference?
So, yeah, for a very long time, I was kind of doing shit in my basement. I was living with my pops. And had my whole setup, had this nice old big desk, the speakers, the mic, and we even did like sound treatment on the room. So we had, it was kind of makeshift. So, we had like blankets hanging up from the ceiling. We had soundproofing like glued to the walls and stuff like that. But it kind of created this environment where, I have a decent enough mic to where in that space with the right interface and stuff like that, you can still get a good enough quality take to where you touch it up in mixing and stuff like that, and it's fine. So I was doing that for a long time. Oops. But then ended up moving out of my pop's crib, and I'm living with my girl now, and our space is completely different, and hardwood floors, high ceilings, like concrete walls. So it's not as conducive to
worst
like
conditions for
literally,
recording.
man. Yeah, it's if you're not familiar, that's not what you want. So I try to set everything up, and I've tried to record over there. Pardon me, with like TMC. I've tried to get Rosé to record over there. My homie Tino, and just like I'm kind of not like a overbearing perfectionist where I delay shit from coming out, but like I'm kind of strict. Like I want,
it's gotta sound right.
It's gotta sound right, and if it doesn't, to me, like it just anytime I listen to it, it's gonna bug me, and so it's like I'd rather just do it right before putting it out and spend that extra time, because once it comes out, like then it's out. You know what I mean? Like
you can't Kanye your album.
Yeah, I know. I don't have the level of DistroKid that allows me to Kanye my album. So yeah, it's been definitely different. Have had to utilize like a more legitimate studio vibe, to whereas like we would just kind of get clean recordings. You know, I'm okay at like the engineering stuff, but when it comes to like official releases, a lot of the times I like someone that knows a little bit more what they're doing than I do. So, you know, I'm not, you know, not totally unaccustomed to being in the studio, but actually like recording in there, sitting in for full like mix master sessions, like it's been really cool, man. It kind of like legitimizes everything a little bit more. But then again, like there's pros and cons. You don't have the luxury of going over it 100 times because you're on the clock.
On the clock.
Yeah,
that's a big
exactly.
difference.
Yeah, 100%. But I think also that kind of adds like, all right, well, you got to come prepared. You know what I mean? And you got to have your shit ready before you even think about booking a session, and then continue to practice so everything is all good to go. So yeah, like I said, there's pros and cons to everything. I definitely enjoy having the at-home studio feel. It's a little bit more of a laid-back environment. You can smoke and drink a little bit more. But yeah, dude, it definitely, like I said, adds a level of like professionalism when you're in the studio. You're booking time. You're spending your money on like an engineer that's showing up.
Yeah, you're not just walking downstairs flipping the lights on.
Exactly, yeah. So, man, yeah, I've definitely really gotten to enjoy that process as well, like actually being in the studio. Plus, to be very vain, it looks better when you're taking videos like on Instagram, like little promo clips. It looks a little bit better than just like all these fucking raggedy ass blankets on the wall and shit like that. But no, man, yeah. And shout out to the Lab Studios. That's the one I've primarily been in. Shout out to Just MC. He does Wolf House Studios. I've been recording some stuff over there, and yeah, it's definitely dope. So I like I said, there's pros and cons. I like both aspects in certain situations, but it's been really cool.
When you get a combination of both, that's where the magic happens, right? Dope, man, dope. So let's talk about some more of the upcoming work in 2023. You mentioned the Rosé on Sundays. That's the next one to come out. But what else do we got cooking? What else are we cooking, homie?
So once again, I don't like to put dates to stuff or anything. I don't like to speak too much on anything before it's actualized. But at this point, I can pretty confidently say I thought for a while it was just going to be Rosé on Sundays. And then I have some other stuff that's in the tuck that's like still being worked on and stuff like that. So definitely more work coming. But as I mentioned earlier, my homie Greasy just got out the joint, and we already had like probably 6 records that were done, ready to come out. I had the stems for most of it, and so I like spent a lot of time like mixing, mastering it. I was thinking about just like pulling the trigger earlier this year, to be honest, but some told me to, you know, be patient and wait. He ended up coming home earlier than maybe anticipated. Okay. And so we already locked in and already have like a couple more records done. Like he's been writing like a motherfucker since he's been back. He said he did a lot of writing in there. So definitely I think we can pull something together before the year is done. And he's honestly one of my favorite people to work with. Like,
I heard him on one of the tracks. Yeah. I forget the name right now, but I mentioned it to you before.
He was on Vivid Sunday. He had a feature on there, and then we got a couple like singles out and stuff like that. But he's just a very unique character, and we just, from the first time we met, we just kind of had this weird like cosmic bond, you know what I mean? So it's like he's definitely a lot of fun to work with, and one of my favorite rappers. Like, to actually get to see his process is super dope. But yeah, definitely Rosé on Sundays coming very soon, and then no official date or anything like that. Got a couple more things to record, but I definitely think Gloomy Jenkins coming out before the end of 23.
Nice.
So,
that would be awesome. I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to meeting Greasy
man,
as well.
He's an interesting cat. But then, to get a little bit more broad, I'm doing work with TMC. Not sure how some of those songs are going to manifest. We've, recorded a lot of stuff, little ideas here and there, but he's an incredible artist. And then he introduced me to this dude, Tino, who goes by Dr. Spaztastic. And we have a couple records in the tuck that man, they blew me away. I wasn't sure how they would turn out, like working with him right away, but we already went to the lab and like recorded, and now they're like fully actualized. I was like, bro, we gotta lock in and do a couple more of these. So, you know, I'm definitely working with a few other artists, but yeah, those are the two that I can pretty confidently say are gonna be like full bodies of work in the near future here.
Mostly all Denver or Colorado based artists.
Man. Yeah, dude. Like I've definitely tried to expand my horizons a little bit, but yeah, man, I've tried to, you know,
there's a lot of work you could just get here.
Exactly.
Like you don't necessarily need to be online trying to promote buy my beat 100%. When the group is here, the customers are here.
Exactly.
You know.
And yeah, a lot of that too is, you know, I've tried to reach out to people that are out of state, and you know, I'll send a beat pack and they're like, okay, cool. Or they'll just fucking like the message on Instagram, or just like, okay, cool, I'll check it out. And then never hear anything back. And that's cool. Like they're totally, because, you know, some of them are like bigger level artists and stuff. And they're entitled to that. You know, they've built a platform on their own.
Online is also different, right? When you're going out to these beat events and hip hop events, you get a name to the face.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
It's more personal than just a message with, hey, here's some fire beats, or however it goes. But, you know, you're sending out the fire. It's tough to just off a message for someone to be like, yeah. I'm going to use this, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure like people like that get 1,000 messages a year or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but yeah, you said it perfectly right there is, you know, if they came to an event and they saw how it's rocking and in a live setting, I guarantee more people would be like, oh shit, like I want to do that. Yeah. But yeah, and honestly, like I don't really fuck with that too much anyway, to be 100% honest. Like I just like the organic connections. And I really feel like I make the best music with people that I just get along with on like a person-to-person basis. And, you know, sending out packs to people you don't know, like it doesn't feel the same just doing shit through email and stuff like that. So anyone that I'm working with, like I actually have a relationship with, which feels good, man. And that's ultimately what it's about. You know what I mean? Like I don't do this shit for the fame, the glitz and glamour, no shit like that.
Don't?
I just, man, nah.
Really?
I just like having a good time, man. Like I love making music, and I love being around like-minded individuals who are also taking this shit seriously and very talented. And so that's the goal in and of itself for me, is just like I like just hanging out with my friends and just making dope shit. You know what I mean? And so yeah, dude, that's ultimately what I'm in it for. Just good times. And so, like I said, I just think I make the best shit with the people that I'm closer to because of that. It's just like when we're making stuff, it just doesn't feel forced. It's just we're kicking back, having a good time, and then, you know, ends up coming out
we
crazy.
We have a dope project.
Yeah.
Nice, man. I like that. I like that breakdown. I like that insight. And hey, be on the lookout for all this, you know, great work coming up.
Yeah.
2023, 2024, and beyond. Let's talk about maybe some of your goals in music.
Okay.
Right? We talk about, you know, you're working with all the local artists. That's amazing. Like, you know, you're getting fulfillment off of, you know, working with people that you like, producing this great music. But are there some dream artists that you want to collaborate with? You want to co-produce with somebody? Like, you got to have some dreams, right?
Absolutely.
Some goals. Well, break some of these down for us. Let's put it in the universe.
So, yeah, man, like, obviously when producers get asked this question, there's always the cliches like, yeah, dude, I would absolutely love to produce a record for Jay-Z or for Nas. You know what I mean? That's probably not the most likely thing.
Nas
but
is out there doing his thing.
True.
Got a lot of hits, boy.
But yeah, man, some of my favorite artists, you know, I tend to gravitate more towards an underground sound anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people that are maybe a little bit more attainable within that realm that I absolutely love are cats like Sky Zoo. I think we could make some dope shit. Yeah. I love Planet Asia. You know, he's got the minimal kind of strip back sound and just like very heavy emphasis on the lyrics. So I'd love to work with him.
We're looking to get Planet Asia on Conversations with TMac coming up soon. So hey, we're putting it. Man. That's one of my goals too, man.
Hell yeah! All right, man. Look at that. We have a common interest.
Let's go. Let's go.
Common goal. And then cats like Evidence. Fucking absolutely love Evidence off of Rhyme Sayers. And yeah, man, I could go on and on, but yeah, those are like the top 3 that come to mind where I'm like, it's not even that like I just love their music, because those are like 3 cats I've listened to for a really long time. Blue is another one that just came to mind, but yeah, not even that it's like it's just that I like them. I genuinely feel like based on what they have in their catalog, we sat in the same room, like we could come up with some dope shit. You know what I mean? Like I feel like my production kind of caters to that style of just like the laid back lyricist kind of thing. And so those are 3, 4, whatever, however many I mentioned, but that I genuinely think that we can make some great art. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Absolutely, man. I agree with that, and I'm looking forward to hearing those collaborations. Yeah. Let's talk about balancing sort of music production. I know you're sort of going back to school.
I am, yeah.
I'm not sure how much you want to get into it, but, you know, I work, I DJ, I do interviews. Like, my days off is today. I'm doing 2 interviews, you know what I mean? The day off is not the day off. I keep working,
no days off.
But this is something I enjoy doing, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't mind it. But talk about sort of how you like to balance things. Do you have a daily routine? Every day is different for you. How do you sort of like to organize your time?
Yeah, so it's gotten a lot more difficult to do that in the last month since I started school. So now I feel like I have like 4 lives. I got school, work, music, and like home life with my girl. And so it's definitely, I've had to kind of learn on the fly. Like when it was just kind of working, I don't have crazy hours or anything like that. I had a lot more freedom to just kind of do music whenever. And, you know, I kind of took that for granted, maybe just a touch, and just, you know, playing some more video games and just relax and stuff like that. But now it's like I don't really have the option to do that, which I think is ultimately a good thing, because It's just like, you know, it's the grind is relentless now, and there's always something, which, you know, not to say that it's easy, but it's very fulfilling. And I found that like very quickly that it's just like when you cut out all the filler, you're only doing things that like matter to you the most. You know what I mean? Not to say that I don't like to kick back and have some R&R and stuff like that, but all my time is spent doing something that's towards like an ultimate goal. Yes. And you're constantly kind of chipping away at that. And so, yeah, it's not easy to balance sometimes. I found that out very quickly, but ultimately you kind of just have to make it work. You know what I mean? You have to do it. And so I did the beat battle a couple weeks ago, and I was on a Wednesday night. I got to wake up at like 5 the next day to go to school. You know, so I had homework to do before school, so I got to wake up mad early, do that, then got to sit in the classroom, then got to come home and go to work most of the time. So, dude, yeah, it's a lot, and it's kind of cut into maybe more like the music creation, like actually sitting down and making beats. But thankfully, you know, I do kind of have a back catalog of stuff that I'm working on. I'm still working. I don't want that to get misconstrued. Like I'm still making shit, but just a little bit less time to, you know, fully sit down and do that. But yeah, dude, like I said, ultimately you kind of just have to do it. Like you kind of you're just forced to find that balance. Yeah. You know, we were actually just talking about The Balancing Act by Static Selector. Shout out to Static. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, it's just something you gotta just do, because it's for a bigger picture. You gotta in those moments where you're struggling, you got to just think this is for a goal that's bigger than just doing this one little task that I'm on right now. You know what I'm saying? Like graduating school, getting those placements that we were talking about, you know, going further with my relationship with my girl, and wanting to get a better house for ourselves and better living situation. So it's like those are the things you kind of just have to take into account and just eat the bullshit, eat the punches that life throws at you, and just keep going. And yeah, ultimately, you'll get there, and then it'll be worth all the trials and tribulations that you had to go through.
Especially since you said you've been real busy the last month and adjusting the last month, do you feel like your music is sounding different, or there's a different feel or vibe to the music since what's going on around you is different in that way?
Yes and no. I always have like a pretty high standard for myself in terms of how, like I said, I don't have an idea on what the end product is to be before I go into it. But once I get the idea laid down, then I have an idea of how it should sound. If it doesn't live up to that, then it's just like,
I'm wondering almost about like inspiration.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like you finding yourself pulling from something different or gravitating towards a certain style or sound. Like I'm wondering if your life around you has sort of influenced the music
I got
you're
you.
making.
Yeah. So, yeah, dude, it's just like I have to kind of just lock in and make something dope because I don't really have the time. So it's like
Almost like on the clock.
It's a grind in and of itself, and so it's less about like, oh, I have time to sit and mess with this for 2 hours or whatever, just trying to get the vocals right. It's like I'm on the clock and the shit has to reach the level that I want to in a short amount of time. So not trying to rush myself or anything like that, but yeah,
you're sort of challenging yourself.
Yeah, in that way, it's definitely pushed me to like, okay, you got to reach the end product a little bit quicker. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say it's like changed the style or anything that I'm inspired by or anything like that, but it's definitely like forced me to kind of like, okay, if you want to get this shit done, like it's got to be more timely. So I'm a little bit more decisive, and just like sometimes I'll sit there for an hour, maybe more. It's embarrassing to say, but other producers can relate to that.
Yeah, they know.
But sit there for an hour or so, whatever, just trying to find the right drums or whatever. But now I'm like, okay, it sounds good. Word. Let's lock that in, and I'll mix it down to where it sounds.
At least just
crazy.
lay it down,
Yeah, exactly.
and you could change it afterwards or
100%.
something. But really getting that idea out and onto the next one, or completing the task, it maybe affects the project in a different way.
Yeah. So ultimately, the only thing that's really changed is maybe just pulling the trigger faster than I'm used to doing. But
interesting. I like it. That was a fun question. I just thought of.
Yeah, you're good, man. That's awesome. I like that too.
All right. We talked about music. Let's talk about food now.
Okay. All right. I'm with it.
All right. Where are the Gloomy Sxnday go-to food spots in Denver or Colorado? What's the best food around here that you're going to put me on to?
Hell yeah. All right. So, man, my favorite cuisine is like Italian and Mexican food.
Okay, you're speaking to me.
Big Asian influence too. Like pho is one of my favorite meals. So one for each of those, or I'll give a couple, whatever. But I got asked this recently on like this thing I was doing for school or whatever, but someone asked me like, oh, what's your favorite food? And like, I fucking love food, dude. I do not discriminate. Like, give me anything and everything for the most part. Okay. But just like a quick dish that's like a staple in my life is a good old Italian sub. Fucking love them, dude. So my 3 favorite spots for that, for different reasons. They're all
love this.
Got their own different kind of qualities. Like I love Snarf's. Snarf sandwiches, fucking really good. Their Italian's great. There's this place Zepp's Epic Sandwiches on Broadway, South Broadway. That's really good. And then a spot that I went to a while ago because I was going to school in the same neighborhood, kind of where I'm living at now, and I just hadn't been there in a while, but I started going there again recently. I'm like, what the fuck was I doing not coming here? It's Salvaggio's on like 16th in California. Crazy good, man. I fucking love their sandwiches.
Are they like a sandwich spot?
So it's like a deli.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a deli, but yeah, primarily just sandwiches. You can get it on a sub or a roll. Yeah. They got the big old rolls, but yeah, man, their Italian's really good. Philly cheesesteak's really good. So yeah,
people's rolls game's got to be on point.
I know.
When I'm coming in there from New York, man,
it's
like,
too much for me, but
it's like it. I can't find the rolls that like they would have in New York. They're just not around. They do not exist. Even at the New York style places, like they don't even got them. But Rolls is very important for me. Now,
Yeah.
you said you like each of those spots for a different reason. What's the quality of these sandwiches that stick out at each of these individual locations?
So definitely all high quality spots. But Salvaggio's is just like the most like classic, what you would probably just like New York deli. I've never been to New York, so I can't compare, but I'm just envisioning
That's what you would see in
like.
your mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back
All
to
right,
you on that.
that's
I'll
fair.
let you know,
All right,
okay?
don't hate me if you
No, not
go
at all,
there
not
and
at
you're
all.
like, that's not at all what it was like.
Fucking
Yeah.
kidding me. Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
No, but yeah, it's just like they hand slice everything right there, like all the meats and stuff. But yeah, it just seems like just kind of more like a traditional deli. You just get cold cuts. Like I said, they have like hot Philly cheesesteaks and stuff like that too that are really good, but just like nice cold cut, and it's just very traditional. Snarf's is hot sandwiches, like they roast everything. So
Bread was pretty good too. I had it one time. Somebody at work gave me like half their sandwich. And
Nice.
I was like, all right,
Yeah.
not bad, not bad.
yeah. Snarf's is very good. It has kind of the Captain Crunch quality where if you're not careful, it'll scrape the roof of your mouth a little bit, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
Got to pick the day wisely.
Yeah, definitely. And then Zepp's is kind of, they're really good, man. They got a crazy banh mi too that I'm absolutely in love with. But their Italian is like, it's more on the style of traditional, but then they got like cherry pepper, like kind of jelly almost. And then they got like arugula and olives on it, which is not like the most
traditional, but
dude, it's fucking good though.
Nice.
And
Okay.
big old chunks of like mozzarella on there. So yeah, so I like them for different reasons. But yeah, man, I'm a big sandwich guy. So those are 3 spots. And then I got to give some love to Las Delicias. It's a Mexican spot. It's like right across the street from one of the places I work, and stone's throw from where I'm at right now, where I'm living. And that's a staple. It's not the most high class, whatever, but dude, for the price.
When I'm going to a Mexican spot, I'm not looking for the
dude,
high
exactly,
class. I want to go
man.
to the place where I got to order in Spanish.
Word,
And
yeah.
I don't really speak Spanish, but that's where I got to go.
Nah, man, it's good. It's definitely good, man. So those are a couple spots, and then there's a bunch of dope like pho spots on Federal that when I was living by my pops, like I used to go there a lot more than I do now, just because I'm not in the area. But yeah, there's stone's throw to one. There's just like 10 within
Keep
like
going down the block.
3-block radius that are all fire.
I forget who I was talking to, but he's like, you got to go to faux 70 through 85.
Yes.
He's like, he had the specific
Dude, yes.
range of
Yep.
ones to go to. So yeah, make sure those are the ones you go to,
100%,
people.
man.
All right, Gloomy, you know me. I'm a
All
pizza
right,
guy.
I've been preparing for this question, dude.
I'm a pizza guy. If I'm gonna make a Gloomy Sxnday pizza, what's going on that joint?
All right. So, man, like if I had to eat one pizza for the rest of my life, I'd probably just go with the Supreme, because you get the best of everything. You know what I mean? Just lay it on.
Yeah, I like to say the primary meats
Exactly.
and veggies.
Yeah, 100%. So if I had one, but if I'm, feeling a little bit more creative, like, for instance, this is actually a pizza I made with my girl recently. Mm-hmm. Probably not as good as yours, at least on the dough aspect. We made some pre-made shit, I'm sure. But it was just something that I saw on like a flatbread or something a while ago, and I was just like, man, let me try that. So it was like a white, like Alfredo sauce as a base, prosciutto, arugula, roasted garlic, sun-dried tomatoes, and then some pesto and some like balsamic vinaigrette on top. Dude, it was crazy. So yeah. I definitely, occasionally will get a little bit more fancy with it if you want to, a little more highbrow.
The Gloomy pizza is half Supreme, half that specialty. All right, I think that's what we're gonna go with for that one.
I do gotta shout out my man Old Soul though, because I watched his interview on this and I didn't know that this was like a thing for other people, but he said his is pepperoni, jalapenos, and pineapple. Dude, that shit slaps. Like all love to Old Soul. he didn't put me on. Like that was like something that I would order already,
Okay.
but it was like validation that. So I am a
That's
pineapple
awesome.
on pizza kind of guy
Okay,
in
that's
certain
fine.
occasions.
Respectable.
In certain occasions.
Respectable. I'm coming around to it a little bit now, but you know, don't talk to my dad about
That's
pineapple
fair,
on
man.
pizza,
Hey,
man.
man.
You know what I'm saying?
I realize in certain neighborhoods I might get ostracized or worse.
You best not order a pineapple slice in
It's
the
like
wrong
ordering-
pizzeria. You might not walk out of it.
Dude, that's like ordering ketchup on a Chicago dog. Like you can't do it, man. You can't
It's
do
just,
it.
yeah, it's
But
a
hey,
sin.
dude, I like what I like, and I'm not gonna keep myself from that.
Don't box yourself in,
Yeah,
man.
man.
You do you. But Gloomy, hey, we're gonna have to try to get together, have that pizza, that Alfredo one. That sounds like it's kicking, man. Alfredo
good.
sauce. I love switching it up. I love a good vodka sauce pizza
Ooh,
myself. Vodka, Alfredo, chicken. You know, we'll get into that another
Hell
time.
yeah.
But Gloomy, we got through the convo.
We did
Anything
it.
else you want to leave the people with, man? Anything we didn't talk about?
Yeah, one thing we didn't get to, and part of it is me being a little coy, but I am recording a rap album. But
I ain't want to bring it up, but we put the J Dilla
So-
Rough Draft album where he's rapping here for a reason. So
here's
thank
the
you very
deal,
much for
man.
bringing it up.
I'm a little bit too coy about it, but part of me saying this is I'm holding myself accountable. I'm going to do it. It's happening, and I feel like, that's people ask me all the time, like, oh, Gloomy Sxnday, where'd you get that name? You're so chipper. You're such a
I heard that at like 3 or 4 different places.
Yeah,
already.
dude, it's something that I've gotten for a long time, and all I can say is like, wait till you hear my raps. No, I'm just kidding. A little more introspective, a little on the a little darker side, but I am working on it. The vast majority of it is done. It's just I gotta record it, and so me saying this once again, holding myself accountable, and that's what I've gotten over it. Like I've kind of toyed with the idea of getting back into it. I'm not trying to like get back into it to start rapping. It's just I need to get
You're not
this
about to
one.
go on a 5-album run right now?
Dude,
You sure?
I just have this one thing that it's been itching at me, and I just need to get it out. And I've been working on it for the past I really got back into writing like during the pandemic, and it's just kind of evolved over time. And it's something that happens kind of once in a blue moon when I feel inspired. It's not like, oh, I love that beat, I'm gonna sit down and rap to it or whatever. It's just not
What's
how
happening inside of you or what's
It's
around
just
you than
eventually
hearing it.
something happens where I'm like, okay, I need to get this out, and it just eventually I'll stew on it for a little bit and it comes out. But I do have a rap feature on the Rose on Sundays, and not anything. I'll at least have one rap feature on Gloomy Jenkins. I almost said something else, but Gloomy Jenkins. I'll have it. Dude,
You got a lot of combinations to remember.
I have too many like album names that play with my name. I get lost.
Sunday Gloomy.
Yeah. So I did Gloomy Science with my homie Vivid Scientific. Shout out to him. I also meant to bring him up, but yeah, shout out to Vivid
I like
Scientific.
that project. Shout out Vivid.
Yeah, so we have Gloomy Science and Vivid Sunday. Now I'm probably gonna do Gloomy Jenkins and Greasy Sunday. So it's just like it's a lot. Rose on Sundays,
There's a
any
whole
given
lot.
Sunday. It's too
Yeah.
easy to work with. So I did not intend for my projects to come out like that, but it kind of happened. It's like, what's an easy thing? Oh, we just call it this. And I'm like, all right, man, I guess that's part of my
Cool. It's
brand
almost like
now.
your style. Yeah, it's almost like the brand.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
But yeah, so that was, then that's it.
I love that you put it out there in the
hold me
universe.
accountable as well. Stay on my ass about it.
We're
like,
gonna
yo,
post this
what are you
clip
fucking
every
doing, dude?
day until
All
it
right.
comes out.
All
Okay,
right, dude.
everybody share this motherfucking clip. All right.
Y'all are gonna get a couple teasers in the next couple months here.
Sweet.
Laying
Hey,
it
send those
down, but-
exclusives my way. You know, I'll have some fun.
I
I'll do
got
some
you, bro. I
mixing.
got
You know,
you.
add in some different stuff.
Hell yeah.
Throw you on a primo beat or something. You know,
fire.
we'll have some
That'd
fun
be
with it. All
fire.
right. Gloomy Sxnday, thank you so
My
much for
God,
coming
man,
through.
thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor, man.
What a convo.
Always great chopping it up with you, man.
Of course, man. Thank you again. And who knows, maybe around the solo album, we'll have you on again. We'll talk about it. All
dude.
right.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Cheers.
Hey, look. Hey, I'm sure you heard about him. I'm the one that's kicking knowledge like jujitsu. Dogging me like I'm shih tzu. Phone ringing, man, I'm sorry that I missed you. I was in the field getting sacks from the venue. Had to ditch the coupe for a big body like I'm getting you. Another episode, man, my life just continues. The Soul Child Chronicles. Laughing to the bank, man, I swear this shit is comical.